A Wilfried Zaha screamer, a Harvey Barnes equaliser. Leicester City go second in the English Premier League. Another entertaining, exhilarating and enthralling game. The race for the Premier League title is... it's still a question mark as to whether or not that is heating up, but the top four race is absolutely on fire. Only time will tell whether Leicester, Man United, Chelsea, City, Tottenham, and Southampton, Everton can keep up with the power and the might of Liverpool Football Club. But one thing is for sure, that top four race is absolutely exhilarating. When you take a look at the league table as it stands right now, just look at it. Just look at it. From second right down to ninth, just 4 points separating 7-8 teams. Absolutely astounding. 8 teams, as you say, 7 to 8 teams separated by a handful of points. Aston Villa and Chelsea kick off in about 35 minutes time. That's going to be another one. That won't impact anybody inside the top 3, but Villa, they could push themselves level on points actually they could go above Manchester United, and so could Chelsea with a win. Both teams could go fourth with a win. Of course, giving Man United a bit of an advantage tomorrow over Chelsea, still having a couple of games in hand. But things are heating up massively. I want your views and I want your opinions in relation to what's going on in this league. Will the likes of Leicester stay? Will they stay alongside the big boys this year, or will they fall away? Does anybody see a dark horse pulling into that top 4 race? Those are the big questions. We also know that Everton versus Man City has been called off the season due to 5 members of the Man City camp testing positive. Does anybody think what I feel, that Man City should have to forfeit those points? I think they should. I think they should get no points, and I think Everton should be awarded them. There isn't the time to reschedule matches this season. It's so jam-packed. It's down to you as a club and down to your players to ensure that they're in a position to play. You saw Leyton Orient earlier on this season kicked out of a tournament because they suffered with people failing tests. I just think it would be fair to do exactly the same thing. Man United also play Man City in a couple of weeks' time in just over a week's time, in the Carabao Cup. That should be called off. Man United should make it through to the final if we are going to treat Leyton Orient fairly. I want your views and opinions on that. We're going to open up the lines in a few moments. Comment here from Salt and Kepper. Says, are you good? I'm very, very good. Oh, they've updated a few. Look at the way the comments come in now. Look, they slide in. Go on there. StreamYard, updating your bits and bobs. I'm liking that, StreamYard. I'm liking that. I do like that. It's very, very good. We're going to add a little cursor along the bottom. Make sure you hit your like and your share as well. Very, very important to the football terrace that you get that done. We've got bubble versions. Oh, look at that. I quite like that. So we use that new one. So we start using the bubble. What's the block looking like? It shows the name, the comment underneath. I quite like the bubble. Do I? Or do we go with block or minimum? Yeah, I'm going to go with the block. I quite like that. I like the way that's being done. Do me a favor, though. I'm going to change the coloring. Now, the coloring's got to change. Oh, look at that. See? That looks nice. I like that. That's cool. That's good. I like that. The colouring I'm happy with. There we go. Get your super chats in as well. I want to hear from you. By the way, Wilfried Zaha. Let me just add this, right? Wilfried Zaha, that opening goal, absolutely tippity tip-top. That, my friend, is beyond ability. That is deliverance. That is the outputs I want to see on a regular basis from a player with the quality that Will Zaha possesses. Because that, for me, was absolutely beautiful. I will always praise quality football when it comes up, and that there deserves a massive, massive amount of praise. Man like Daniel in the house with a super chat. His super chats come up green, remember. He says Chelsea versus Man City will be postponed as well, apparently as well. Listen, then Man City should have to forfeit those points. They should have to forfeit those points, in my opinion. That's probably not in the rules, but it's just an opinion. Hang on. Why has that changed to blue? Who's changed that to blue? Because it weren't me. That's weird. KJ, what are you doing, bruv? What are you touching? KJ's in the background touching things. 100%. I know that's KJ. 110%. I know that's KJ playing with things. Stop playing with my stuff, KJ. We had another super chat here I want to get up, actually. As a comment from a member first, super chat here from Toby. Says, Terry, Newcastle didn't get games forfeited when they didn't play through COVID. I think they should, though. I'm just saying. I'm just saying they should. It's gonna create a bottleneck. You know, it's gonna create a bottleneck for Chelsea. It's gonna create a bottleneck for Everton, which I don't necessarily think's fair on them. That's just my view, though. Ian here says, Terry, Leicester made a lot of changes today, bringing backup players in, but should have put the game away second half. Yeah, I think maybe they should have done. I tell you what's interesting, though. You know, sort of about, what was I going to say? Leicester. So not interesting. I'm getting my words wrong. Yes, Terry, Zaha is world class. Don't speak nonsense. They're not world class. Like for that one goal, do that on a regs, and then we'll start talking about world class, brother. What I'm going to say about Leicester, I have an announcement to make about Leicester City. I do have an announcement to make about Leicester City. Tonight, we are officially inaugurating Leicester City. They are becoming part of the Football Terrace. So we will be covering more and more Leicester City games, doing match reviews, previews when we get the opportunity to. They will become more and more a part of the furniture. So we're looking for some Leicester City fans on socials that want to get involved and want to be part of the conversation. We're growing. We're going to now be referred to as a top 6+1 channel. And I'm going to respect Leicester, and Leicester are not the +1. Leicester are part of the top 6. The +1 is Arsenal. But I've officially given Arsenal tenure, which means they have a stay of execution for life. I don't think it would be fair on any of our mentality, any of our mental health to remove Arsenal from the banter parade. Do you get what I'm saying? So they're still going to be part of it. City fan here with a super chat says Newcastle didn't forfeit those points when their first 11 got COVID. Grow up, man. Yeah, but I don't cover Newcastle on this channel, so I don't speak about it. We cover top 6+1. And for me, I think they should have had to forfeit it. So I wouldn't treat Newcastle differently. I just don't chat about them. Do you know what I'm saying? We just don't chat about them on here with much regularity. Harvey Barnes, the real generational talent. He's having a very good season this year. He's surpassing my expectations for sure. Top 6+1, brilliant. It is. That's from unpopular opinions there. Leicester are big 6. I've added you into the big 6, my brother. You're in. Leicester are now officially part of the big 6. Arsenal are the +1s now. Arsenal are the +1s. We are your main income, Terry. May we. Are Leicester staying in the top 4? Are Leicester going to make it into the top 4? That's the big question I want to ask of you this afternoon. We're going to share the link for you to call in a few moments. Get your comments in. Got man like KJ here with me. What you saying, brother?
That's good, man. It was a good game. When that Zaha goal went in, I was like, yes, Mandem Palace doing me a favor, yeah? And then this going to have to ruin it for me. I did say before a game, a draw would be good for United. So I was like, all right, cool. But no, when you see something that is that close, like they were close to getting to the win, and the man couldn't hold on. But hey, drop points for Leicester. We love to see that. Hopefully, United can do their business. Hopefully, the Brummy boys, Villa, can take some points off away from Chelsea tonight. Should be a good week, good day.
Hopefully, Villa. Do you know what it is? I don't want to disrespect Villa, but when you look at the league table, like the way I sort of view that is, I don't think Villa are going to stay for the course of the season in this race. So right now, I'm happy for them to take points from Chelsea. But then the game after that is Man United. So maybe a draw in that game is probably, as you say, that would probably be the best bit, nullify a bit of confidence that's going on. They've won 8 games this year, which is astounding. You know, their target was probably 40, 45 points, and they're almost there already. But the race is heating up. And Man United now, they go into the game tomorrow night against Wolverhampton Wanderers after Leicester dropping points. And with Everton now not playing, Man United have a genuine opportunity to go second in the league. And it's and you know what we're talking about so many times before about, do Man United have the minerals? Do they have the mindset to take advantage? To an extent, it doesn't actually matter what Chelsea or Villa do tonight. Although they can go in front of us by a point, we're still in control of our own destiny. We have a couple of games in hand. I want to see a seize upon that. I want to see Manchester United tomorrow evening, go, right, Everton are missing out. Let's go in there. Let's beat Wolves, which is a hard game, but let's go and beat Wolves. Let's get the 30 points. Let's be in second place on merit. And it'll be in second place with a game in hand over Leicester. With a game in hand over whatever Chelsea do today. And I just think, for me, that these are the moments now where I will start to be convinced either way, whether Ollie and Man United are good enough to become title contenders, let alone win the damn thing. And it's moments like tomorrow. These are those acid tests that I know we've been talking. I mean, if Alfie was here, he'd be like, no, we're definitely title contenders. But I think these are the things I want to see. I'm sharing the link in the comment section below, people, if you want to phone in and have your say. Any Leicester fans that are tuning in. In terms of Leicester, do you think they'll have staying power?
They're a difficult one to judge because they have a good squad. They have a very good squad. They have a very competent. I think, yes, Brendan Rodgers is known as a bottler and all this, but he's still competent. He's got them playing some good football. You've seen him make tactical changes in games that help win games. So he's not incompetent. He's a very competent manager. They always do well in the start, and then they die off towards the end. So, like, with the way the season's going, I believe they could. They actually could make top four. With the way the season's going, anything's doable and anything's possible. And I think if Leicester go into the transfer market in January, get some reinforcements in areas that they need. I'm not too clued up on Leicester, so I can't say where they need reinforcements. But if they get some reinforcements in, they could be looking dangerous for the top four spots.
No, I hear you on that. We're going to add Neeks into the mix here as well. What are you saying, Neeks?
Yeah, just got out of the shower, so I won't be coming on the video. What day is it? What day is it?
Monday.
I don't know, man. It's all the days just merge into one.
Yeah, I don't know what day of the week it is.
I wake up, I go to sleep. It's Christmas, it's bank holiday, God knows.
Football every day. How many days now?
Exactly. But yeah, Leicester. I think what I saw from Leicester today is I think it might be the reason why they won't get top four is the fact they made all those changes and nearly lost the game.
Yeah.
And in general terms, anyway, we talk about the squad and the necessity of a squad to be able to get results over the course of a season. This season's probably even more so than any before because the fixtures are going to be so congested, and they're in the Europa League as well. So the Thursday, Sunday thing when it returns. So unless they forego the Europa League to focus on the Premier League, I think the run of games and the lack of depth in their squad in terms of quality may tell in the end in terms of top four. But I think they can definitely 100% get back into Europe, i.e. The Europa League.
I think they should go for Europa League.
Yeah. They have to play their strongest team. Team. I would say, like, we qualify for the European competitions and then we start messing around to focus on the league again. And I'm like, well, what's the point? You fight for 38 games to get into Europe, and then when you get there, it's like, oh yeah, we need to focus on the league again. No, go all the way. And if you can get some glory in it, get some experience in Europe. So I think Leicester's been in Europe for a while now, Champions League and Europa League. Wolves got to the quarters last year. Leicester should be aiming to get past the quarters because Wolves has only been in the Premier League for a couple of years now, and they got to the quarters of the Europa League.
Yeah, Cam's here with us as well. Obviously, Leicester, doing bits. It opens up a massive opportunity tomorrow for Manchester United with this result today. They've dropped points. Of course, Villa and Chelsea go head-to-head in 20 minutes' time. What are you saying? Like, after this round of games, how do you think that sort of top four is going to look?
Leicester will still be there, I think. To be honest, I think it'll be basically what we're kind of seeing. I don't think there'll be a lot of shifting. Just because everybody's got tight games. I think it's going to be similar points across the board. It'd be nice if teams keep dropping points like this. I was real excited when that Zaha goal went in, but this Leicester team, I don't want to echo what Nick said, but I think they do have to choose between Europa and top four. And if I'm them, I'm choosing top four, not Europa. Just because it seems like they're building on a steady run of being able to consider themselves a Champions League side. And I think that's more important in the long run for their squad and for their growth Because if they just keep going to the Europa League, they'll be a 5-6 team for however long, right? But if they start getting into the Champions League and able to put out to players, hey, if you come to Leicester, you have a chance to play in the Champions League. I think that has more more power to bringing in players, and that's what they need. Their squad's too. It's not deep enough. That's why they always fade in the final third of the season.
I think you're right. Attracting players for Leicester and then keeping them, because if Leicester were, I'm not saying they're not a big club, and I'm not trying to offend Leicester fans, but if they were maybe 4 or 5 years further down the line, you know, keeping Kante would have been important for them. They could have kept Kante and Mahrez and add that to what they've got now. I think you could throw them in as title contenders. Does that make sense? And I think that's what they've got to look to move towards. Is, you know, I know they kind of try and banter Chelsea and banter Man United about losing Maguire and losing Chilwell, but they'd still rather have those two players there as well. Being in the Champions League helps. Being in the Champions League and getting there regularly helps. I also think it's a good thing for Brendan Rodgers. My jury's still out, as far as I'm concerned, on him as a manager, as to whether or not he's good enough to go sort of step over that line. And this will be an interesting season to see whether or not, you know, he can kind of do that essentially, and that makes sense. But they're in a very good position.
I was gonna say on top of that, for Leicester, if Leicester were able to become a consistent Champions League side in the way that Spurs had in the last 5 years or so, they could be in even a better position than Arsenal and Spurs, because their owner ain't taking a penny out of the club. They're putting money in. So they're already charging 80 million for their players, and they're not in a Champions League position. If they get into the Champions League and they can attract the players that, you know, as Cameron spoke about, and keep the players that they're, you know, their best players, that would make it a force. So yeah, I do hear what Cameron said.
I agree.
Let's go out and buy Jack Grealish, for instance. They spend 88 million because nobody else wants to spend that, and they go and get him. Like that's the type of signings, if I'm Leicester, I'm looking at doing, because like we're not doing it because we think it's too expensive. But for Leicester, Jack Grealish could completely transform that team, in my opinion. Like, and I'm not saying he'd go there. I'm just saying, like, that's the type of move. If you have the money, why not spend it on a player like that who the bigger teams are looking at, but they're reluctant to spend on him?
Do you think Leicester need names now to cement their position, or do you think they can do what they continue to do in players, making them into what they are?
I don't think it's so much names. Yes, a Jack Grealish would be brilliant because, you know, he improved your team. I look at everyone knows the jury's out, in my opinion. But a player that scored against them today, going Leicester City, forget history and fan size. Leicester City are a better club to be playing for right now than Crystal Palace. Go and sign Zaha. Go and sign Zaha for say £50 million now that's if Brendan Rodgers fancies him and thinks that he's good enough and thinks that his overall game can fit in at what he does. But that's the kind of quality of player. Jack Grealish, you've already mentioned him, has the ability to go and do that. Maybe start looking at the Man United's. Listen, why not go after Saka at Arsenal? Because Leicester are a much better team. He'll get developed more. Like, I'm being serious here. I think they could go and turn the heads of those kind of players. Go to the Man Uniteds and the Man Cities and look at individuals that are not getting first team football regularly. You know, there are players that they can go, hang on, maybe we can entice this individual away and build a team. I'm not saying Paul Pogba, but, you know, just go there and build a team around them a little bit, you know. And someone like Saka,
if they could do that, because their European scouting has been very, very good recently. You look at Soyuncu. Is it Fofana, the center? His name Fofana, the centre back. Two quality centre backs who no one in the traditional big six decided to go and secure. If they have to sell them, they get big money for him. But they should be in a position where they're like, no, we're trying to build on top of this.
They're also missing Ricardo Pereira, who that was a big signing that nobody saw.
He's a brilliant right back.
And he's looking very good as well.
Pereira, he's that. Him and Sancho are examples. Madison's another. Jamie Vardy, I think, is there now for the rest of his career. They need to then keep those individuals, and it's why Liverpool were able to accelerate themselves. Tottenham, and it's why Liverpool accelerated and stayed at the level they're at, because they've kept players. If you look at Liverpool through the Premier League era up until Klopp arrived, they lost a lot of their top players. A lot of their best players, barring Gerrard, left for one reason or another. McManaman, Michael Owen, Robbie Fowler, Torres.
Alonso,
do you know what I'm saying? Alonso, Mascherano, Suarez. But they started to keep them to really cement yourself into a top 4 position and maybe title challenges, you can't be losing them. Spurs, they went through my whole lifetime up until the last, say, 6-7 years. Spurs were just a feeder club for all the barring Arsenal, or something they were when it comes to Campbell, but barring Arsenal, they were a feeder club for everybody. You would be able to pick them off, and it used to. My mates are Spurs fans. It would infuriate them, whether it be Carrick or Berbatov, whoever it was. And the way you address that is by not selling. And of course, qualifying for the Champions League helps because it brings you in the money, so you're not as tempted to sell. So that's what Leicester have to do.
I've got a mad question for you guys.
So KJ, I was just going to say, and Arsenal are a perfect example of that, because they've been selling their best players for so long, and it's only a matter of time before it catches up on you and you can't sustain it.
Like, I've got a mad question, and I feel like when I'm thinking about Leicester now, one area I think they can improve on is on the wing areas. Like, yes, Harvey Barnes is looking good and he's growing as a player, but they still need a bit more in the area, I believe. If they finished in top 4, and with the money that they've got for their players that they've been getting recently, could they try and actually prize a Jadon Sancho away?
No. He wouldn't know. He wouldn't know.
Are they not there yet?
They would have to give him 300,000 a week.
More than that.
For him to consider.
So yeah, but what I will say about that point, they could have signed Jadon Sancho 3 years ago. So when you've got a player like Sancho that wants to, what's the name of this kid? I've not heard of him until the last few days. I'm seeing his name everywhere. He's an Arsenal attacker, a striker.
Balogun.
Yeah. So there's a lot of talk that he's not going to get an opportunity, and Nketiah's in front of him. That's the kind of player where I think Leicester can be knocking on the door and saying, "Look, we've got an opening. We've got a pedigree of developing youngsters. We have got a history. We've got a place for you. We want to develop you." And that might not necessarily be him, but maybe they can go for those superstars coming through that are not getting opportunities at the big clubs. And I think Leicester have got the pulling power to do that. And they've won a Premier League more recently than Man United, than Arsenal. As example, they've won one where Tottenham have not. As an example, they've got a great owner, they've got a brilliant structure, they've got excellent players at the club, they play an attractive brand of football. So there are certainly reasons for players to be attracted to that.
Stadium's amazing. Facilities are amazing.
Yeah.
So is there a worry for them though if for instance Vardy falls off or goes, because like we're saying they've kept their players, and I think that's like certain players. They did lose Mahrez, they lose Maguire, whatnot, but you're seeing, especially in the Prem, like at these top sides, it's like Vardy is basically a reason they are continuously there, because Vardy scores 30. That's the key to being in the top 5, top 6 is you have a striker who get you 20, 30 goals. So do they need to start finding the player who's going to replace Vardy before it's too late? Because if Vardy goes, go on.
I feel like there's a player in Usman Edouard from Celtic who Brendan Rodgers has worked with before as well, that can not maybe get as many goals as Jamie Vardy, but come in and develop in that team as well, because he is quick, he's tall, he's a good finisher, he's a good player.
I just want to say here quickly, Morning Walk says, thank you, panel. I've been a fan for ages of this channel, and now you recognize my club. I'm in dreamland. Not a problem at all, brother. I wanted to introduce Leicester for a while, and I was thinking about it today. And remember, I've got to change the description of the channel, because we are now the top 6 plus 1. Leicester are part of the top 6. Arsenal are the plus 1. Big six. Yeah, big 6. I like that. Part of the big 6. Arsenal, you're the guests now. You are guests of the Football Terrace, but we will keep covering you, because you keep all of our mental health very, very strong. Sorry, you were saying something, KJ. I cut in. Sorry,
I was saying someone like Edouard would be a good signing to help Leicester with their striker issue that is going to come. I'm not saying it's an issue now, but it is going to come. Iheanacho is all right. He's done all right in spells. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to say he's terrible.
He's done. He's finished. Sorry. Listen, Matt, I'm coming for smoke. If you're in the B6, you have to get smoke in it. You're not a little team no more. Them man were trying to compare Iheanacho to Rashford. I've seen the tweets resurface. Going to Makola and Stephen Howson's Twitter, you're seeing those come back. They weren't comparing, but they've brought back old people's tweets where Man City fans trying to say Iheanacho's better than Rashford.
You know what's funny about Iheanacho? I used it the other day about Hudson-Odoi when I said, look, I get he's come off the bench, and played some bit part games this year and looked good. But Iheanacho looked good doing that for City. You really get answers when people starting games. And Iheanacho is a good footballer, but he's good. He's a Wobie level.
Oh, that's actually a good shout in terms of where Leicester should go look for Hudson-Odoi.
Hudson-Odoi, yeah, would be a great option because he's much better than Damari Gray. He's a better footballer than Damari Gray, and you get opportunities. And I think that's the one thing I'd say about a lot of these young super talents at the big clubs, the Hudson-Odois as an example and whatnot. How much game time they're going to get, really and truly. You know, and the thing is, Chelsea are a real hard one because they've got a lot of young talented players. You can only develop 3 or 4 maximum at the same time. You can't when you're trying to win trophies. When you're
look at Tariq Lamptey, they could only get this Reece James or Tariq Lamptey. They had to choose to get rid of one and keep the other. And Lamptey went to Brighton.
Exactly. And then you're hoping it works out. And I know I had a lot of Chelsea fans calling me out earlier on today saying, "Oh, how dare you say if we sack Lampard, it means we'll sell Havertz and Reece James." I'm like, bruv. One, I didn't say you'd sell them instantly, like in January. Sack Lampard tonight and they'd be gone in January. I'm just saying this to Chelsea fans. Don't be delusional, right? If Reece James has a bad second half of the season, I mean a bad one, don't be surprised if Roman doesn't go and put a £50 million bid in the summer for Ricardo Pereira from Leicester because he wants to shore up that area. That's just literally what Roman does. Daniel Sweetman here says Terry avoiding talking about Palace because Zaha second assisted his own great goal. Just kidding. Welcome to the theatre, Leicester. In fairness, Daniel, I did mention that goal earlier and said how good it was. Classic. And I always praise. Listen, I'm a proper man. Alpha still sitting here. The jury's out for me on Wilfried Zaha, but when he does something brilliant, he's having a really good season this year as well with outputs. I'll praise it because I'm not a hypocrite. So I won't listen. One Swift does not a summer make. He has one good season. I'm not going to be like, that's it. My mind's totally made up. But that's a start. And I'll say, well done for it. And I'll praise him for it. I would like to see Wilfried Zaha. I'd like to see Hudson-Odoi get given a chance at Chelsea. I'd love to see Zaha be given an opportunity at a bigger and better club. And Everton. Listen, I think he'd be better at Wolves than Traore is, by the way.
Yeah. You know how I've been like on the Traore train in terms of saying I like him, he's a good player and stuff. I watched him yesterday and I was just like, if he weren't big and had melanin in his skin, if we didn't have those two things, people would call him Dan James.
He is a juiced up Iwobi.
I still like Traore. I like him for what he does and what he is. I understand what he is. But we need to start acting like my brother, is going to become one of the best wingers in the world. No, he's not.
This is it. Remember, when he burst onto the scene, we were all like, oh yeah, this guy looks so talented. He had no end product. Now he's got a bit of end product. But this is it. It's not getting any more. This is the end product that we wanted 6 years ago. And it ain't great. It's just decent.
You know what he did about a year ago? He had a purple patch. Remember when Jesse Lingard had that purple patch and we thought, Jesse Lingard had that. Yeah. Lingard went through that 2 or 3 month period where he scored that screamer against Everton. He scored a brace, I think, against Burnley. And it was like, he's now come to life. People were pulling up comments from Fergie saying when he hits 24, 25, he'll come to life. That's what Traore did. He had a really good couple of months where he scored some goals. And I don't know. He just for me kind of fizzled out.
What did it for me was this. There was a break that was on towards the end of the game against Spurs. Podence drills the ball into him. He controls it nicely. All he had to do is flick it round the corner and Podence is through on goal. He doesn't do that. He decided, let me hold up the play, turn around so I can run at man. I was like, all you want to do is run. That's when I was done. That's when that's it.
His downfall was Jimenez getting hurt too, and when Jimenez really brought out his game. That's the thing. People don't. You see in partnerships too. These purple patches happen when two players are beating off each other and playing well. And I watched a lot of those games when him and Jimenez were flying. And it was a lot of low crosses into Jimenez, a lot of switching with Jimenez, and Jimenez was a great striker and was finding him and putting him in the right spots too. And once that goes away, he's not good enough on his own. He needed somebody else to help him get there. And we're seeing now without Jimenez being there and that type of player, He's not.
Yeah.
He's a runner. He's a runner, and he's an athlete.
Well, I think when you look at the kind of players that Wolves have on the field of play now, they're all like when I look at Podence and Neto, they're all and even Fabio Silva, they're all the same player to an extent. The way they play and operate, and you just see a difference in footballing ability when it comes to. And the irony in that is, I want to know what eye test thinks about it, because technically, as football players on the eye test, Neto and Podence are streets ahead. Streets ahead of Traore. Listen, I know I'm a stat man, but I can see the difference in that. I really can. Someone put a comment in here. This guy's always calling me out, but I will give him some airtime. He says the season before last, Zaha got 10 goals and 10 assists. I've got to double check that, and won 7 penalties. Zaha was poor last season because he was pissed with not getting the Arsenal move. But bro, I actually think half the issue with Zaha is attitude, and that there, literally what you're saying is a problem. Because that means it's a conscious decision, not to not perform, but you're allowing something that didn't happen to stop you from performing. When you're talking about elite level, sick, world-class football players playing for a big six club +1, you've got to be able to drop things that frustrate you in life, whether it be you and your girlfriend are broken up, whether it be, a loved one's unwell. Professionally in life, you can't allow these things to consistently throw you off kilter. If it's one of your children or your partner, I do get that. And I sympathize. But there's always an excuse. Oh, because he didn't get the move to Arsenal, he had an off year. That ain't a good enough excuse for me. Like Cristiano Ronaldo, it just isn't for me. That for me just tells me he's got a weak mind. And I don't think Zaha has a problem with ability. I think it's mindset again. And you guys were chatting on Twitter earlier today, or KJ and a man like Aaron, about like he's just always so angry, and I'm like, I think that can be a problem. Some people are elevated by anger, and when they lost it, I think the worst thing happened to Wayne Rooney was having kids. As soon as he started having kids, he mellowed. When he mellowed, I think he lost a bit of himself, like seriously. Yeah. And I think with Zaha, I think his head gets clouded with frustration and anger so much. Chill, play your game, relax. When he's relaxed, when Zaha's relaxed, he's one of the best players in the Premier League, but man ain't relaxed enough. Man's so stressed, like honestly. It's like he's a heart attack waiting to happen. It's like, calm down, brother. Calm down. I think
the bottom line is it comes down to ability versus output. And he mentioned this season 2 seasons ago where he had 10 goals, 10 assists. All right, what did he do before that? So if we're saying, because he had that one season of 10, he's now what? A quality player? We know he's got ability. That's never been in doubt. So the reason why we're even talking about him is because he's got ability. If he didn't have any ability, he wouldn't be a topic of discussion. Arsenal wouldn't have been in for him. Man United wouldn't have signed him in the first place. But the big issue is that with all the ability that he has, he's still playing at Crystal Palace. That in itself is a problem, and something that it needs to be looked at. Why are you still at Crystal Palace? Why is no one willing to go the extra mile to get you out of Crystal Palace?
Yeah, Terry. There's a comment here by a man like Duke saying that can we apply the same for Sancho this season because of what's happening?
Potentially you can, but he has one advantage which I think needs to be taken into consideration. He's just turned 20 years of age. Zaha's a 28-year-old man. So if Zaha was 19. And had a 10-goal, 10-assist season, and the year after that did 4 and 7. You'd forgive it because they're young and inconsistent. Things are going on. At 28 years of age, it's less forgivable because Will Zaha cannot get any better as a football player at 28. You're peaked. This is between sort of 26 and 32 are the peak years for a male athlete, generally in any sport, unless you are an absolute GOAT. Like what Roger Federer is doing, a man like that is just beyond impact. That's because man's ability is so good and the mindset's there to keep trying and stay fit. So I don't think you can use that. But also, Zaha's game, a lot of it is based on the athleticism that couples his skill, if that makes sense. He's not sort of someone who I think when he loses a bit of his pace, I don't think he's going to move into central midfield and dictate play. So now, so I get your point, but you can't compare a 20-year-old to a 28-year-old in football. It's ridiculous. That's my view anyway. People might disagree, but that's what.
The mental side too is when you're a kid like that, that stuff's gonna affect you. And we're already seeing how much Sancho wants to come home, and he comes home all the time. So he's just home. Like that's different. When you're a grown ass man, you're 28 years old. The mental side's got to be. You should be able to put your head down and go back to work, and then get the move. because realistically, you didn't get the move for Arsenal, so play better. Play better. Make it so teams have to pay for you. Like, look at what's happening with Jack Grealish. Didn't get the move, signed a contract. Now teams, if they want him, they have to pay for him. And whoever does is going to be happy they paid for him because he put his head down and the man's banging in goals, assisting he's doing everything. He's literally carrying the Aston Villa team, showing teams that if you come get me, this is who you get.
And
Zaha didn't do that.
And I think with Sancho as well, I think part of it may be not getting the move, but it's also normal to go through. Sancho's output levels were also astronomical. He was the only player in that age bracket between 17 and 19 to have 100% goal to game contribution from the start of his career in a top 4 league in Europe. No one else has ever done that before. So there was always going to be a drop-off point. And actually, when you look at him this season, so a lot of people pulled that out of the media. They said, he's having a really bad second.
It's not that bad.
If you're going to use outputs, there've been 2 or 3 really bad performances, and I understand that. But he probably had 2 or 3 really bad ones last year. But I was looking at the statistics for this season, right? And I was like, but he's still got 9 assists and 6 goals so far this year.
That's really nice.
Look at his Champions League. Terry, what's his Champions League record?
This season?
Yeah.
This season in the Champions League, he's got 2 goals and 2 assists in 315 minutes.
That's good.
That's good. You know what? Yeah, it's Sancho's going to be fine no matter what happens.
He set his own level too high.
Fabrizio Romano apparently is saying that he will move in the summer and United are in the race, leading the race, and that I don't believe nothing that comes out.
Terry's already scheduled the videos. If you take the community tab,
110%. And look, on Sancho this season, just to throw it out there because people are asking, he scored in 29% of the games that he's played in, and he's assisted in 43% of them. So it still isn't that bad. As I say, that's 15 goal contributions in the games, which is pretty damn good. I guarantee you, if you look at other wide players in the top 4 leagues of all age groups, I bet he's in the top 10 for output still. And that's him playing badly. So listen, with all due respect to Will Zaha, don't compare the two. It's ridiculous. Like it really is a ridiculous thing to sort of do. I mean, I'm looking at, he hasn't even been playing 5 seasons. I think he's 3 seasons into his, so he's 1.5 years into his career, is he, or is he 2 years?
Sancho.
This is his 3rd season. I think
This
this is
might be his third or fourth.
Third year.
So he's going into his 3rd year, and he's already got 60 goals and 65 assists to his name across all competitions as a professional footballer, right? That's a lot, right? If you look at Zaha in the last 5 years, right? So from when he was 23 until he was until now, just to put it, just why I don't think they can even be looked at and compared. And I mean this with all due respect, right? I was looking at totals here for a moment. In the last 5 years, 48 goals and 26 assists. So in the first 2 and a bit years of his professional career, Sancho has outstripped the last 5 years entirety for Wilf Zaha. So don't compare the two. It's just disrespectful to Sancho and disrespectful to football fans all around the world. Maxi of a super chat says, KJ bro, please stop wearing your hoodie up indoors. You look like a cultist. My anti-hoodie agenda will continue.
He's from last night. He has beef in my hood up. But listen, the trim is dead. That is why it's up. When the trim is in, there'll be no hood, fam. That's all it is.
There we go. Listen, everyone who's tuning in, thank you. We're live again after Chelsea versus Aston Villa. So make sure you're back here in 2 hours' time. Until then, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon.